I want to talk a little bit of how I was surprised how hard it was to resign. This weekend, when my husband and I were running to storage, I was like, you know what? Let me put together a draft resignation notice. I looked at my contract and I had to give a certain number of days. Actually, on mine, 120 days, which is a lot of notice, and it's pretty customary in my line of work in healthcare. Um, so I drafted it. I drafted up something really nice, non-confrontational, just to say some general concepts that my lifestyle was changing and it just wasn't in line anymore with full-time work or required minimum work hours per month due to our new travel lifestyle and plan to retire early. It was a very gracious composition to kind of thank everyone for their time and propose that maybe I would be available. I'm going to be doing some limited part time work, that if they're in a crunch, to reach out to me. I wanted to make it clear that this wasn't a contentious or sudden or unexpected or emotional withdrawal, that it was something that was well thought out and it was logical. I composed it over the weekend thinking, in a couple weeks on July 1st, because we're in June, I'll send it. But when I looked at kind of the details of my scheduling and stuff, I was like, it's best if I send it as soon as possible. It'll make everything easier for everyone and me to be assured that as of a certain date and as soon as possible, I will be freed of this contract. In addition, by doing that, I would be more free or available to commit to those other limited travel positions that I'm looking for down the road. So I decided I'm gonna send it first thing in the week. It was a weekend and it was like Monday midday, and I'm like, I have it composed. I like this, and I sent it. I was surprised how many steps I had to undergo to really push the seriousness and just the decision to do it. I got a call from my middle manager, who represents the corporation I work for. Hey, is everything okay? Is there anything that went wrong? Is there something we could do? And I was surprised because my communication really didn't allude to any of that. And I was like, no, no, this is something that has been in the making. I have mentioned to you and my colleagues that my goal had always been early retirement. And of course, as is common, a lot of my colleagues are a little older than me or my age, like Gen Z and maybe bridging into boomer generations. They looked at me like a little bit strange. In my profession, people don't usually, I guess, or in any profession, retire this early. So, but they were aware and very supportive, and I have a good relationship with them. Um, and I told her no. And even if I had things to nitpick about the corporation, corporate structure, or internal corporate culture, I would. It wasn't the time or the place to do that. I'm in a situation where I'm ready to move on, and those small things don't really matter. So my middle manager was like, "Okay, I know you sent a notice in writing, like the contract says. We all saw it. You attached human resources, but there is another step to make it happen. We need you to go onto the scheduling page and submit the specific form to really make it clear that you want to go down to zero work. So submit the form. Once it's submitted, then that's the official date, and your new term date will be effective as of that date." I was in the middle of something. I was busy. It was my day off, and I'm like, oh, another form. Okay, let me put it on my list, and I will get to it. So actually, during this work assignment traveling, I had luckily 30 or 40 minutes where I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, you know what? Let me get in and do that form real quick. So I do the form, and I was surprised. Again, there was a chain of questions as to why. How did I come to this decision? Who did I speak to? Was there someone that just failed to meet my needs? They wanted names, they wanted dates. And I'm like, there were endless options, dots to hit, and then comments to put in. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like filling an endless survey. I kept putting everywhere, no, this is my decision. This is why there is no one I would work for until the age of 65. There's no one I would work for full time for another decade. There is nothing that you could have done. I do have a lot of just kind of general discontent with corporate culture in the United States. We all know the games that they play. We all know that the name is profit. We all know that the worker is secondary, tertiary, or not considered at all. And that profit for the top is the end game. I don't fault my middle manager. I don't fault my collaborators at the company for any of that. It's just the way it is here in the United States, and no one person is ever going to change it. So, word of advice to millennial women, to Gen Z women, there's a lot to be learned from Gen X women like myself. We have seen so much. We have seen such massive cultural and societal shifts in the course of our lives. We have adjusted and pivoted from handwritten love notes in middle school to full blown social media, AI devices, um, digital devices, and a massive advances in information technology. On top of that, while raising families often with old or outdated concepts of family rearing and couple dynamics, also in a patriarchal structure, still harking back to old times. So we have really learned how to navigate in chameleons in all of those challenging microenvironments. So I'm starting to understand why this company was resistant to accept a resignation, because a Gen X worker, woman, is extremely valuable. We have loads of experience, we have loads of knowledge, we can work across different work cultures that have been um, dominant or moving through over time. We're flexible, we're survivors, we don't need much guidance, we get it done. Especially a worker that has a good reputation and has typically worked well in the environment. So, in addition, there's a shortage for the position that I have. So, they genuinely don't want to lose a worker, and they will make attempts to, however small or minor or half hearted, to retain the workforce, because trying to replace a worker like me is more difficult than giving some promises or assurances that maybe some things can be changed to accommodate what you need. Interesting side note, I love learning from people, older folks, and it's something that was instilled in me from my culturally and from my family growing up, is to really value what your elders or someone with more experience than you has to say. And I remember having a conversation with another director, middle manager, who was older, boomer age, really burned out. And speaking to him, I had mentioned some concerns about, corporate culture, how to navigate it when I was new to this particular corporation that was I was working for. And he said something that was just so blunt and direct, but it was one of those aha moments where I'm like, whoa, he's got some great points here. And what he said was, you're not going to change anything. They need you to just fit in, and they need you to make it as easy for them as possible. Keep in mind, this is one of my middle managers. And he said, don't speak up too much. Don't have strong opinions. When they ask you for surveys, don't even fill them out. Again, this person is probably responsible for making sure his team is filling out these surveys. So I thought it was really interesting and appreciate how genuine he was. And he said, no one really wants to hear it. Again, nothing's going to change. So when you are really cornered into giving some feedback, just make it as neutral as possible. Just show a willingness to participate, and go from there. Make things just smooth for yourself, and you'll find that things go much easier down the road. So that's kind of how I approached my resignation notice. I think I was already starting to employ and learn some of those concepts as I changed across different contracts and um, corporate entities through the years. And I think it served me well because no matter what my discontent or issues, concerns, or disappointments have been in a certain situation, I have minimized it or mentioning it on my way out. I have usually just made it a kind of very neutral, congenial, collegial um, separation and thanked everyone for their time. And honestly, it has served me. I think there's a vacuum cleaner out in the hallway, so sorry about the background noise. I'll get the mic closer. But it has served me because I have noticed that I've had no trouble bridging over to new employers and agreements, and often they reference one another to give feedback and peer references to screen you. So, another pearl of wisdom is separate um, in a good fashion, in a friendly fashion, amicably, be very objective of what your needs are and move on. I do remember in my earliest years, actually, my first job out as a highly skilled professional, entering a situation that was probably suboptimal and was taken advantage of. Um, I did develop a lot of anger or resentment, and I did voice that to people that were already dysfunctional and maybe a little unscrupulous, to tell you the truth. And it didn't go well. It was a really hard time. It was a very malignant and toxic environment. And ever since then, anytime I've needed to shift to a situation that is more in line with my goals, it has been done differently. But I've also been working with some higher quality entities. So I don't know how much that has to do with it. But in the end, my advice would be transition amicably. I never know what's going to happen, right? I need a plan B. Like, what if I do this early retirement thing and some kind of emergency befalls us or something unexpected, or I need to pivot back to more work? I want to make sure I have my bridges where I can reach out to. So that's my note on uh, kind of how to navigate resignations. So after all of this process and drama to really drive home the resignation, I finally got a ticket from HR on email saying, "Okay, your resignation notice has been acknowledged." And the kind of the feedback I got or the sense that I got was after they kind of investigated and tried to needle and look for what exactly is happening, they realized, whoa, this is the real deal. This employee has had an internal shift that we cannot accommodate. She's she's gone. And of course, from there, they just pivot to we're going to need to replace her. We don't have much of a choice. So, boom, right away. The next question is, hey, how soon can we tell people that you're leaving so that we can fill your spot? Because there's other people looking for more work. And I'm like, okay, well, and the only reason why I didn't really want to share it immediately is it just seems like it's 4 months of kind of emotional disruption where everyone has questions, everyone's wondering what's wrong, is there something we can do? And I just wanted to keep it simple and literally just walk out on the last day, retirement party or not, cake or not, even though I love my colleagues, even though corporate structure is strange and something that I've become increasingly disillusioned with in my career, and I can see right through it and I understand how it works. I can honestly say in my current situation, of all the choices I had of people, middle managers, and corporate leadership to work with, it would have been you anyway. It's the best options I had at the table. But again, one of the things I learned from all these amazing channels and all of these people with such beautiful insights, with so much experience, younger and older than me, across different levels, skill levels, pay rates, and so forth, is that you're expendable. When you're gone, you will be immediately replaced. suffer too much, toss and turn too much to do what you need to do. Don't worry about who's going to handle this or that, who's going to know what you know. It doesn't matter in the end. And I kind of had an internal chuckle when there was all this kind of struggle to figure out, hey, how do we work this out? How do we keep you? And then when that light went off, that was like, whoa, there are some considerations at work here that we're not going to be able to work around. Um, there right away, it's like, so how soon can we replace you? So it's funny to kind of see that in action for my own situation. Um, so I hope you find this tale interesting. So again, this video is about all of the amazing things that my husband and I were able to accomplish in literally 5 days towards this dream. Again, it felt for a long time like nothing was happening, and all of a sudden it's like, like how do I keep up with all these moving pieces? Um, and also wanted to share uh, this kind of interesting experience trying to get out of the American corporate workforce. Um, they really need us, but for those of us who have kind of figured things out and made that definitive decision that this approach or culture no longer suits us and know that clearly, and then beyond that have defined, well, what will suit me, because it's one thing to escape what you don't want anymore, and another thing is to define what is it that you're going to. um, and one of the feedback or considerations, friendly debate I've gotten from colleagues or friends in my age is, well, what if you leave and it just doesn't work for you? I mean, we all know the stats, people go back. And my reply has been, I really don't see that being a problem for me. I really don't. I'm so tired. I had such a fulfilling career. I did such amazing things. I do not regret it. Um, my life was hard. I carried a lot of pressure, but I also had immense rewards. There was an expiration date for me, and I have reached it, and I have found interests that equally intrigue me as the medical field did back when I started, and that have engulfed me. One of them was gardening and cut flower farming. And then now I have new ones. It's early retirement, it's financial independence, it's travel. I've always had an interest in cross cultural studies, ethnic studies. I love learning history. I love learning how it impacts contemporary culture. And that was just my minor as an undergrad. And it's been a side interest throughout all these years, spreading myself across many other things. So if I was able to keep that a consistent interest, now I see that really flourish and come out in this time that I've been able to navigate more freedom to travel and to do cultural exploration. So I don't think it will be a problem. I know what I'm going to, and even that may change, and there may be something after that that we're going to. Um, but I'm confident that that is the path that will be taken in the future, knowing where we're at, discerning where we need to go, and working to get there.
Woke up late, missed the morning glaze, but the sunlight hits in so many ways. Grabbed my shades and hit the streets, no plan, chasing vibes like seashells in the sand. Radio hums a tune I can't name, crooked smiles, crashing waves, no shame. Flip my phone, toss it in my bag. Today's for us, no time to lag. Feel the world just turning slow. Let the breeze step a beat we can make. Life's a tune, sing it till we break. Concrete warm under my bare feet. Crowds moving like a heartbeat. Skipping stones in city streams we find. Let's write a new story, leave the old behind. Someone's cooking love in the air, I swear. Every spark in their voices shows they care. Colors splash like secrets on these walls, while laughter echoes through the halls. Feel the world just turning slow. Let the breeze tell us where to go. Every step a beat we can make. Life's a tune, sing it till we break.
My little dinner spot at my desk.